The industry is going to speak today. So call all the committee members of the various political party manifestos, yeah. Let them listen. This is part 1. We'll do part 2, part 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like Ken Fiati's movie industry. So, with just about 7 months to go for elections, the various political parties are gearing up for action. Some of them are putting together their manifestos, we know that. The MPP came out to give us a list of some creatives on their committee. As media, we have a stake in shaping ideas and influencing policy. Yes, we do. So today on Showbiz A-Z, we start our series on what we call the Creative Industry Manifesto. And this brings together players from the various sects of the creative economy for the benefits of the doubt. The creative economy comprises areas like music, advertising, film, media, fashion, theater, comedy, visual arts, books and publishing, architecture and design, computer programming, and by extension, tourism. So today we have some great minds here to help us with the discussion. Each rep is a guru, if you like, in their own field, yeah. They'll be doing their presentations, we'll be asking questions, we'll be having conversations right here at Joy 99.7. Let me go straight and introduce to you my guest for today. Let me start with a man who was on earlier on with Clemento Suarez. Yeah, the man of God. It appears now most of the actors are becoming men of God. We have Pascal Amanfo, Timothy Bentham. We have Majid Michel. And then this one, Ken Fiati, man of God, actor, who is also the spokesperson for Actors Guild. My brother, welcome to the show again.
Thank you for having me yet again, man of God, Kwame Dadzie.
How is your guild doing, Actors Guild?
It's doing well in court. We're hoping that we'll be out of court pretty soon, and then it can really become what it has to be. I would say that there were systems that had been put in place that would have helped the guild become a guild in practice rather than in name. But this is where, I don't want to say fate will have us, but this is where our behavior in the industry will have us. And so we're hoping that we'll be out of court soon, truth will prevail, and then we can pick up the pieces.
Okay, we didn't come here today to talk about
Yes, that's why I tried to be very brief.
That's why you try to escape certain things. But it's okay.
Yeah,
evading the complexities.
I heed to your advice as a man of God.
Okay, so Ken Fiati is here, actor, and he speaks for the Actors Guild. So I'm very sure that he knows what they need. Yeah. So let me go to the next person, and he is president of Ghana Music Alliance, Seven Xavier. Yes, boss.
Hi, I'll be.
I'm good. Oh, how about you?
It's been about 1,000 years since.
And the whole of this year, I've not seen you.
No, the whole of this year. That's true.
In the whole of this year. I hope you're good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Ghana treating you well?
Charlie. That's only the question to ask.
Oh, it is treating some people well, so I need to ask.
No, do you know those people?
I just wanted to know if you were one of them.
No, I'm not.
Great. Seven is here with us. Now let me go to the audio engineer and creative entrepreneur, Kofi Boachie Ansah, BeatMenace. BeatMenace. Wasanaba. Yeah. He's a menace to the beat. You get it? I hope you're good, my brother.
Thanks
Everything
for
okay?
having me. Everything good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Awesome.
Last week you ran away from us.
I'll come again.
All right, now let me introduce to you. Today, my older uncle didn't come, so my normal uncle has come. This man is an institution, if you like, and there is one thing he doesn't add to his portfolio: the fact that he's a sit-down comedian.
Yeah.
We have the CEO
Our other Oga at the top.
CEO of Plugin Media and host of Africa Rising podcast, Francis Doku, is here.
Yes. Yes, Kwame, my nephew. I call myself a sit-down comedian because I can't stand to do comedy.
Oh, wow, wonderful. We'll also be joined on phone by FIPAG President Aboagye, and then Percy Obrimpo-Japan, who is president of Ghana Comedians Network, and our very own Ken Addy. Yeah, the older uncle. Okay, so welcome to the show. Join 99.7 FM Showbiz A-Z, and today we are throwing our spotlight on what we think the political parties who are putting together things for their manifestos, what they should do, what they should consider in putting together their ideas for the creative industry. So we'll be starting in a moment. Let me start with music. Yeah, music. And talking about music, Seven is here. Seven is president for Ghana Music Alliance. And if you are on Facebook, please just log on now and watch us live. We'll be doing a touch screen presentation. I mean, touch screen presentation. Yeah. We'll be learning a lot from these great minds who are here today. Xavier will be the first to do that for us. Then we go around, we'll be asking questions. If you have your questions, you can send them via 055-1111-997. 055-1111-997. What questions do you have? What ideas do you think we can channel to the various political parties so they incorporate into their various manifestos? You can do that now. 055-1111-997. We're on social media on X. You can use the hashtag Showbiz A-Z and interact with us. On Facebook as well, we are live, so you can also just join us. Now, Seven Xavier is coming to do his presentation. Please pay attention. Yeah, please pay attention, because Seven is going to break down, what is really needed for the music industry. Everything about the music industry, from production to marketing to intellectual property, the CMOs. That matter, no matter they there. Then we'll be going to Ken Fiati. Ken is also from the acting side. He'll also be breaking down the things that they need for the industry. Then we'll be going to Uncle Francis. We'll be going to FIPAG President Aboagye. On phone, we'll be speaking to Percy. The comedians are also ready to tell us what they need from policymakers. And so today we're having a thought leadership conversation. You don't need to miss out on this. Don't flick your dial. Please make sure that you share the link for others to also get see and listen. Share the link. Share the link. I like that laughter, Uncle Francis said. Share the link, please. Share the link for others to see and join, so we can together we can share ideas and see how best we can push this industry forward. Yeah, Seven.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I think so.
I hope the industry needs a lot of things. The music industry.
Oh,
Plenty.
plenty, but we'll go down small. We'll go down small. So we don't
Okay. So we're waiting for you. If you're ready, please shoot.
So I guess you can start with. There's a lot we need.
Okay.
As an industry, but we can start with like maybe doable things. So I think the first thing that I think we need is the Creative Arts Bill, the new one that was passed. How many years was it?
2020. That was December 2020.
Yeah, talking almost 4 years. So I was part of a committee along with Ken. We spent a couple of days in Pram to come up with a LI. And it's been 4 years and nothing has happened to it. I must admit, there were a few things in there that I think will help the whole industry, the creative industry. So I'm sure Ken agrees with me that we probably all want to see it actually implemented, and hopefully it will guide some of what we do here as a creative industry. Right. So since it's been 4 years already, we probably need to revisit it and probably have some updates. I remember after the committee met, I think the next thing to do was take it on the roadshow to different regions to have other stakeholders' input, and that never happened. So hopefully we can have that. We can have that done this year. In the bill, there was a mention of a creative arts fund, which is, I think, was one of the things that we need, one of the most important things that we need in the industry right now, because everything depends on money and music right now. It's not about talent anymore. It's not about any other. It's not about any other strategy or anything else. It's all money. It boils down to money. Now, when you come to record labels, most of them are not even resourced or financed enough to be called record labels in Ghana. Kofi will agree with me. We'll probably call them production companies, because the departments that a record label actually needs, none of them can actually have those departments, like the PR, the marketing, the radio, and all these other departments that a record label is supposed to have. So we can maybe look at the Chinese, Korean model, where the government actually resourced about three huge record labels and basically gave them millions every year to produce what we now know as the K-pop artists who have taken over the whole world. So we'll probably need to go maybe use a model close to that and resource about 3 or so labels. We could probably take one from the north, the one in the middle, and then one in the south. And then we could probably see what we can do with that one. Now, other music entrepreneurs who want to get into the industry or already in the industry, like the publishing companies, the PR, the marketing, people doing festivals, booking agencies, licensing agencies, all of these people probably need some type of funding or money to actually function properly. I hate to see some festivals maybe just come in one time just to make some money and leave. Hopefully they can actually stay and make this a proper business, you know. Now, with all these other entrepreneurs in like the publishing, the PR, the marketing, that ensures that we actually have different arms of what we need in this industry actually working. Because as it stands, most artists is the artist and the manager and maybe one other person. They do everything that they're really not supposed to do. They can't handle, but they have to do it anyway because there's no proper publishing company. There's no proper PR company, marketing companies, booking agencies, and all these things. So your manager is your booking agent. That is not really a standard that we can compete with the rest of the world. Also, low interest rate loans for artists. Like I said earlier, everything boils down to money. Your music video, from your recording, from your promo, your marketing, everything, it's money. So they will definitely need some type of, and for some reason the most talented ones actually don't have the means to even promote their songs or their albums or EPs. So if we can come out with a low interest loan for artists, up and coming artists, even let's say people who've already blown up, they've had some success, and they still need money to go to the next level, we can also definitely look at giving them some money from funding for that. Now, I think we can, the government can maybe look at introducing music education in primary and secondary schools, because if you talk to modern day musicians, you'll realize most of them are doing it only because hunger day. There's nothing else. There's no talent. There's no pre-music knowledge, nothing. It's really just hunger day. So let me do music, you know. So let's try and introduce the music education in primary and secondary schools, and people actually have genuine love for the arts and actually hopefully have a few years of actually doing it to a certain stage. Then they can say, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, you know. And so people, a lot of musicians now do not play instruments. They can't read sheet music. And it's sad. It's really sad. It's really, really, really sad, because when they go out there, outside, everywhere else, and you meet other musicians and they are talking technicalities, they are lost. they had lost. So we definitely need some type of music theory. Music theory and I think should be compulsory in schools. I think it used to be at a point. I'm not sure. Kofi and I went to the same primary school. At the time, it was. I'm not sure if it was in other schools, but we did. We did that in primary school. So, and also I proposed that they introduce music business courses in universities, and that is music, like actual music business, and maybe a music business laws in universities, because as much as you want the artists to develop, you also need everyone involved in the industry the industry to be a professional in handling everything. So as of now, trust me, I don't know how many lawyers I can call up if there was any problem regarding like music law or anything that can actually handle situation. When it comes to like IP and all these other things, most of the lawyers in Ghana have no clue what they're doing. There's a recent case with Edem and Obrafo and Hammer. I'm not sure what happened, but it was over quick. Like it was like a day or two in court and it was over. I really thought it should be way longer, because I don't want to say I don't agree with the verdict, but I think that there should have been more to it than Mancha lost, Obrafo won. It should have been that easy. I think that should have been, but like I said, there's probably no professionals in the country to actually debate on that. So it was over really, really quick. A music arena. Okay. So Rwanda has one of the best music arenas right now in Africa, maybe. Definitely East Africa, maybe the whole of Africa. And you probably don't even know Rwandan artists. You probably don't know any Rwandan artists. But I mean, we have all these amazing artists that we have here, and most of them struggle to find spaces to perform. I mean, they have to go to the stadiums, they have to share stadiums, and they have to fight over stadiums during certain times of the year. If we had a proper music arena, which of course will not just be music, but we can also look at like movie premieres, which Ken will be happy about, trade shows, conferences, and other things. If you look at there's a PDF that Kigali Arena has, and it's amazing. They use it for everything. They even have NBA games being played there. So it definitely has a lot of uses. And I'll propose the most expensive pits ever built to be used for the arena, if it is possible. Because as of now, I don't think there's going to be a national cathedral. So if it could be converted into into an arena, we'll be definitely supportive of that. And then my that specific area that I'm really passionate about is the CMOs, the collective management organizations for music. It's been a lot of years where people have been complaining about Gumroad, especially. People don't really talk much about Ansah, because the musicians, they don't even know what or who Ansah is, but I'm sure the film people do. But Gumroad, especially, at this point, there's a lot of foreign companies coming in, buying catalogs, buying IP. And first and foremost, I'm actually amazed why they're buying it. But the main reason is because how do you value the music? How do you value a particular, let's say, song over another song? Why would this song be worth $1 million and the other song will probably be worth 10,000 CDs or less? And it all has to come. It all boils down to a Gumroad or a collective management organization. Basically, your song over a period of years should generate a certain amount of money via streams or publishing royalties from Gumroad. And in these parts of the world, like especially in Ghana, Gumroad really doesn't give you much. And I'm definitely sure they probably don't even have a paper trail of how much they paid you over, like, let's say, 2 or 3 years on a particular song. They don't, because it's just money, 100 CDs to your Momo. There's no paperwork to it. There's no, this particular song generated X amount of money. So in about 10 years, if Sarkodie wanted to say, okay, you could kill me, it's worth this, you should be able to dispute or agree to it, because you could see how much he's made off it. You can add streaming, you can add maybe like on YouTube, you can add the publishing. Of course, he being from Ghana, he'll probably get the most publishing money from this country, but there's no trail of anything. And as far as I'm concerned, he's not even sent out to Gumrow. So that would definitely hurt a lot of musicians down the line. But Marley's estate, I think last year or two, sold a portion of his catalog for $50 million. $50 million. Like, I would love to see some of our musicians in a couple of years be able to do these things, but there's no record of anything. And then Gumrow is definitely 100% responsible for that. So I propose we make it work, we find a way to make it work, or they should open up for alternatives, because as of now, you can't even apply to be a CMO. They should definitely open it up. And also the radio stations and TV stations and other users who need to pay for the music, we hope the government will intervene, and maybe if they fail to, there should be sanctions, maybe by the NTA or some other body or something, yeah. But I'm definitely sure Joy pays. I hope Joy pays.
We do, yeah. We do. We pay.
Abraham tells me everything, so I know who pays, who doesn't pay. He's my best friend.
So Joy pays, right?
Yeah, I know Joy pays. I just need to see. They don't tell me the amounts though, but we'll get there. Yeah, and also pushing of a cultural policy, deliberate push of a cultural policy. Kofi has a lot to say in that regard, but basically, all the countries every country really is trying to push to have their culture transfer over somewhere else. Like the Chinese are doing it, the French are doing it, the British are doing it. Everyone is doing it. Everyone is doing it, and they are deliberate. We have managed. I'm thinking Ghana and Nigeria. We've managed to have some of our culture cross over, but it's not. It's like just by accident it happened. It's just by accident. But now, imagine, why is your girlfriend watching K-drama, the soap operas? All of a sudden, everybody's watching it. There's money behind that. That makes all of us, all the women in Ghana now want to watch these things. So we have to deliberate about pushing our culture and have policies and actually, go ahead and make these things happen. And then the last thing I think I have is incentives to private entities who want to get into the industry. Because as of now, most of the companies, or let's say anybody wants to go to a record label will tell you, they have no clue how much they'll make. They have no clue maybe even where to start. But if there was tax incentives to some of these companies to actually get into it, because that to me it's an untapped industry when it comes to business. Everything that we do really is off talent. There's nothing in business-wise, like we don't have auditors, we don't have accountants, we don't have lawyers, we don't have all these other like all these other industries or other markets getting into what we are doing. The other time I was reading something on Maven, and Maven, Don Jazzy actually hired a data scientist for Maven Records.
Wow.
Yeah, we are so far behind. Everything we do is just raw talent, nothing else to it. But people are using data scientists to predict things, stuff that could happen in the next 5 years. And of course, then they will switch up what they're doing. So we need people from other professions to step in, and there has to be some type of incentives for companies who are trying to get into this space. So thank you very much. That's what I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Seven Xavier, for that wonderful presentation on the music industry, what he thinks should be considered by the various political parties as they put together their manifestos, and he represents the Ghana Music Alliance. Yeah, I'll go around and take comments or maybe questions from other panelists right here, maybe 2 minutes each. Then we go on to Ken, we go to Uncle Francis, we go on phone and speak to the other people there. BeatMenace is going to play the role of commentator. Like, over to you, Julati. By saying that, let's say, condolences to the family of the legendary Julati. He passed at 96. Wow. Okay, so let me come to you, Ken. You've listened to Seven Xavier do his presentation talking about the industry, the music industry. But before you come in, let me do a recap of the things that he mentioned. He said that we need to resource record labels like it was done for K-pop, the industry. We need funding. We need low interest loan rates for up-and-coming artists, music education in schools, music business courses in universities, music arena, that is our performance centers. We have also another point he made was CMOs, putting that in shape, and also admonishing radio stations to pay their royalties and all that. Now pushing the cultural policy, also being deliberate to make sure that our culture transcends other boundaries as well. Incentives to private entities. And then one very, very important thing he mentioned was data scientists. I'm very, very concerned about that, because looking at how AI is going and how everything is changing, what is the fate of an industry that is not preparing for the future of our industry? Thank you so much, Seven. Now let me come to Ken Fiati.
Yeah.
Any comments?
Maybe I should just have asked him to add film to what he was saying.
you just replace film.
Yeah, just.
It appears most of the
and
issues
ask
are
him to-
general.
Yeah, to just speak to the issues. But I think he has touched deep on it.
Yeah.
But I just want to find out, you were talking about ASOG and in relation to the CMOs and all that. What do you think is the challenge that we have that is causing the musician, for instance, not to know and not to appreciate some of these institutions?
I think these institutions are actually hiding. They actually don't want them to know who they are. Because if you don't know who we are, you're not coming to ask for money. So they'll hide, especially with ASOG, because I found out that their board has been like defunct for like 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, but they still got collected money from wherever. They still got government funding or money from is it the blank levy?
Yeah.
But nobody goes after them. I mean, we all daily scream about Gumroad, but not ASOG. So it's just, to me, it's a matter of maybe the players in the game actually realizing, okay, this money actually belongs to us or should belong to us. We could actually have a proper way of collecting and allocating whoever deserves it the most. Because when it comes to music, for example, some people can use, let's say, 100,000, 200,000 CDs for promo stuff. Of course, if I'm going from radio to radio to radio, I'm losing money. I'm using money. I'm losing money doing that. So if God bless Kwame, if he plays my music 1,000 times on Joy, and other plays get played at the same amount of time or whatever, I expect to get more money when it comes to royalties than somebody who probably never did any promo. It would have just posted a link somewhere and shared a link, and that was that. But in this case that we are in right now, that person could possibly get more money than I do, just because nothing is tracked, and it seems like nobody cares. And the people behind, and I mean, we have to say that some of the people behind these institutions really are in for themselves. It's whatever money they make off it. I mean, they might refute the fact that they actually make money off it, but they do. And in the case of Gumroad, which I've gone down the rabbit hole, I mean, the people who benefit from money from Gumroad's money, crazy. People that you'd probably never even heard of, they benefit more than any artist that I know.
Yeah, so I was asking because I think that this aspect of it has to be known. And sometimes I also think that our duty bearers relent on their responsibility.
Okay.
Because I know the Copyright Office has a role to play in what they do.
Exactly.
But the monies get to these people and it's there. And they do what they want to do with it. Yeah. I am registered on ASOG, but I don't know what the system is to determine how much who is paid.
Okay.
So once a while I get a text message that say X amount for this period.
Like how much?
Pretty embarrassing.
Like how much?
The musicians.
Maybe because of the numbers of the musicians.
Yeah.
But for even you as an actor, it is the producer who decides which of your films can be sent to ASOG.
Okay.
So if I, as an actor, even want to go to ASOG and register my works and all that, it will take validation from the producer, even though my work is out there for everybody to see.
As a
Okay.
director.
As an actor, I'm speaking
as
as an actor.
Okay.
As an actor.
So let's say I'm in movie Joy. If I go to ASOG to register that I was in this movie and I played this role, and so I need to register my work so that I can gain some money from it. You, as the producer of the movie Joy, would have to say, I produce Joy.
Okay.
Kofi is my director. Akusua is my makeup artist. And the actors I want to enlist are 1, 2, and 3.
So not everybody benefits.
Not everybody benefits. So it became a problem that we needed. We were fighting as a guild. And
Wow.
that is one of the hidden reasons why we are in court. Because some people feel that we exposed them. But the question is, what is the person who has the oversight responsibility doing in regard to such a problem? And it makes it very unappealing. So
Exactly.
for me, I just received a text message that for the period, say, January to March, X amount is paid.
Kwame wants to know how much, actually.
No, I'm saying that it's pretty.
I think you should mention it.
So,
We
so
should know.
I will check and give you
We should know
specifics.
how
But
serious the
but-
issue is.
but-
Give us maybe between.
yeah, Kwame,
100.
I'm saying that's where I was going to.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it is nothing to write home about, and it is pretty embarrassing because I don't even know for which works I am being paid for.
Exactly.
And you get paid like 100 CDs, get paid like 200 CDs. When it started, I remember I've been paid over 1,000 before, and we thought that it was just the beginning and it was going to get better.
Which
so
year
we were
was
all
this?
trying to have our hands on deck to have these things addressed, and it kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And now, even as a performer, you know how long I've been doing this and the number of movies we have done. I can't even go to ASOC to go to register my stuff because of the limitations that
Okay.
are there. And you speak to Major. I don't know whether Major is there still because I have forgotten about
Please
them.
reserve
They
some
don't
of your
exist.
points when we come to you for presentation. you put them in. Let me come to BeatMenace. Yeah, your commentary on Seven's presentation.
I mean, Seven never disappoints. When I walked in and I saw him in his suit, I knew.
I went to a wedding. I had to come to the wedding.
Then I know say, Asemaba. I definitely do agree with a lot of the things he presented. I felt maybe because of the simplicity and the need to sort of simplify some of these things, maybe a few things may have been very specifically tailored to music. But you know, music is certainly one of the disciplines that always ties in with several other practices in the entertainment and the creative sector. For instance, I think the music business point he made should be entertainment business. Okay, because there are lots of practitioners in entertainment industry that interface with music and vice versa. You know,
Kwame's rules were specifically just music.
just music. No, I understand. I understand. So, I mean, that's just my comments on that. There were a few things that I felt were left out. I think we need to, especially because he made a very important point about the taxes.
Okay.
And how that ties into a lot of creative practices in the creative space. I think we need to address company structures from Ghana's company laws as well, because a lot of creative practices technically are supposed to exist as social enterprises, and we do not have the means of accommodating that. If I go to Registrar Generals, for instance, and I want to register a company, so social enterprise no day, and that's a bit problematic. I'll come to that in a bit. Apart from tax breaks, I think our tax laws should be fairly clear, because depending on the commercial creative activity you undertake in Ghana, I've had that problem before. You're supposed to get some tax write-offs, or perhaps not supposed to be eligible to pay certain taxes within a specific number of years of operation. You go to our tax people say, what will their name again?
GRA.
GRA. They say something else, and then they send you somewhere else, and somebody is saying. So even the companies that are supposed to be working together do not communicate. Now it's amana brusonia they won't mean sanko jusika. It's ridiculous. You understand? Another thing that I felt should have appeared on there that didn't. I believe I was here 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it. Is we also need insurance companies to be conversant with how to interface and work with the entertainment and especially the creative communities. My big brother is here. He works in film. I've done a lot of work in film myself. But you'll be shocked that you pay a lot of expensive, you buy a lot of expensive gear and equipment, and a lot of these companies do not even know how to value and give you insurance packages that sort of protects your investment. So if our boss here wants to sponsor me and give me some lose $5 million to start a media company, and I do not have proper insurance cover, it puts us both at risk. You understand? Thankfully, I did mention 2 weeks ago, I think Enterprise Insurance started operations even before Ghana attained independence. But it only took, how many years? Just like 3 months ago, Hollard Insurance introduced for the first time in Ghana's history, an insurance package that is specifically tailor-suited to the creative industries, and we need more of that. We need more competition. We need we need to see and hear more of that. So this is just my bonipole in a nutshell. But in Sembibri.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Don't worry. We are here till 6 p.m.
Right.
Let me come to Uncle Francis to pick his thoughts on the music industry manifesto.
Well, thank you so much. I think Seven did a very good job of analyzing some of the problems and also looking at what solutions there may be for them. I think all the points for me are good, but I noted one point which I think would be in mind as well as far as tourism is concerned. It's the auditorium, for performance. I think we cannot call ourselves a very serious destination for arts and tourism if we do not have places where such events can take place. We don't have as it is. I think our priorities are not right. We're focusing on other things that I believe we should rather focus on, other areas where would help us be able to create places for our artists to perform and draw people in from within our country and from people from outside. So I think that particular point for me is a good one. In previous manifestos of some of the political parties, things like that were mentioned, but they never saw the light of day. So we hope that, as they listen, as we make these suggestions, they will look at them and look at how to create spaces where creative talent would exploit and make things happen for them. If they cannot get the money from, the rights, they at least need to be able to make some fiscal money. And I think that is a very good point that we need to let some of these parties, have a look at and implement when they come to government.
Thank you very much, Uncle Francis Doku. Now, let me go on Zoom. We want to do film, so I want to tie in film production to acting. So let me go on Zoom now and speak to FIPAG President James Aboagye. Good afternoon.
Hello, Kwame.
James, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kwame.
How are you doing?
Oh, by His grace, I'm doing well, and you?
Doing fantastic. We are ready here for the Creative Industry Manifesto, and I'm very sure you're ready to give us what the industry needs from your end.
Yeah.
Okay.
My warmest regards to my co-panelists in the studio. I heard the voice of Fiati. Ken, good afternoon. You asked me to call you. I called you several times. You didn't answer. You owe me an apology.
He's sorry. I'm apologizing on his behalf.
He knows what I'm talking about.
I love you.
Come again, Ken.
I love you.
Oh, you can't love me. I'm a man. Please don't love me. Stop loving me.
Okay. So James, what
Yeah.
do you think the political parties, what should they consider when putting their manifestos together, their manifestos in terms of film production or the film industry in general?
Let me express another woman's greetings to the listeners and the Joy crew. First of all, I think all the political parties, or at a stage, it's high time you looked at the creative industry, the film industry, whichever industry that falls within that space, as business, potential source of employment, instead of looking at it as only entertainment. Because of that connotation, we don't take the whole industry serious. Because this is an industry that provides lifeline to so many industries. Look at the television industry. They all depend on our industry. Look at those selling audiovisual devices, television sets and other devices that can be used to watch something. They all depend on us. But because we haven't looked at it as a business, it is always treated as a peripheral kind of thing. And because of that, those the stakeholders, we do not want to fully participate or fight for the right incentives and or the right environment for us to effectively operate our business and do what we are supposed to do as responsible citizens. So they have to look at it as business, just like they will look at any sector of the economy, the way they will look at agri, the way they will look at education, the way they will look at any other industry or sector of the economy that they want to consider.
Okay. James, are you done with the things you want to suggest to them?
To the manifesto team?
Yes, there are various committees, yes, from the political parties who are already working on their manifestos. So
yes,
we're just asking the things.
Yeah, we've submitted something, but unfortunately, and this it saddens me. You see, most often these political parties will sit down, they will do their manifestos without recourse to the industry. So sometimes they will propose to do what might not necessarily be what the industry will be looking for at the particular time that those proposals are made. And we were given the opportunity to make input. So I put that information on FIPAG platform. And fortunately, prior to the submission of the inputs, there was an ASOG general meeting in Kumasi. I was there. All the stakeholders of ASOG, that is producers, that is publishers, authors, and performers, they were there. So I put the information across, hoping that they would take advantage, especially the performers. And I when we went to do the submission, I didn't see anybody coming from the performance end to make an input. But what happened at FIPAG was, when we put the request on our platform, instead of our people taking keen interest, because this is somebody who is going to decide on your destiny, and the person has given you opportunity to make an input, instead of taking full advantage of it, they made mockery. They made mockery of the whole opportunity. Some were saying that if their political party, that's where they are short, why are they coming to us for input? They should know what we need and provide for us. But how can that be? Nobody can cry better for you than yourself. You are in the soup.
Exactly. That's why we are crying here today.
You are in the soup, so you know what is in it. So you have to tell them. Some were of the belief that if even we tell them, so I told them, this is the first time you've been given an opportunity to go there or make your submission. Let us submit to them. If they don't do anything, then you, when you get the opportunity, you tell them that this is what I proposed, and nothing was done to it. And some were also of the view that yeah, near more margin, no more family ruling country, no. Wouldn't that have been a plus? For instance, if I put up a proposal and I saw the proposal being implemented, I would be the happiest person in Ghana. This is an idea that
are they rather waiting for the manifesto to come out before they criticize and say, "Oh, it should have been like this or like that"?
The general attitude. But you see, the other sectors, they are contributing, and you see, Kwame, what saddens me is, as an industry, the stakeholders, we ourselves, the way we look at ourselves, the way we carry ourselves, the way we value ourselves. We haven't put much premium on ourselves.
Exactly.
And for that matter, our industry. We see ourselves as an industry made up of riffraffs. But there are
gradually that mentality, that perception is changing. And I agree. I hope that with discussions like this, we are going to change the narrative in no time. James, a very big thank you to you for joining us this afternoon on Showbiz A-Z. Thank you so much for your time. We are putting together ideas from industry stakeholders on what we think should go into the various manifestos of our political parties for the creative industry. So that was James Aboagye, who is the president of FIPAG. Yeah, let me now come in-house and go to the film sector again. Ken Fiati is ready for his presentation. Ken.
Yeah, bro.
Film.
As one of our old ones will say, film.
Film.
Yes.
Do you have needs?
A lot. Yeah.
Let's hear.
We have needs. We have a lot of needs. I must commend my brother for the earlier presentation. And when I look to my left, I know I'm in trouble.
Your left?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But I just want to say thank you to you for this platform, and I think that what we're doing is very useful. I pray that those that need to hear and take these things seriously will hear and take them seriously, because it's becoming a bit tiring to try to engage duty bearers to get them to listen to you. They don't love the picketing, they don't love the choboy, so we want to believe that they would like this and take lessons from there. So I might touch on one or two things that my colleague did touch on, and then see if there are other things. But I just want to open by saying that film possesses a very remarkable power to transcend boundaries, evoke emotions, and spark meaningful conversations like what we are having currently and can have going forward. It serves as a universal language that bridges gaps of language, geography, and ideology, enabling people from diverse backgrounds to connect and empathize with characters and stories that resonate with their shared humanity. I also want to say that as a potent tool for advocacy and social commentary, film has the ability to shape public discourse, influence public opinion, and catalyze collective action. And I believe that is why we're having an engagement like this, to ensure that even if we have dead bodies, the way to preserve them, the way to give them a befitting send-off is very important in an era of rapid globalization and technological advancement. I would want to look at something that I'm calling how to leverage film for national development, which we believe that when harnessed effectively, the film industry can and would become a catalyst for 1, economic growth, 2, cultural enrichment, and 3, social cohesion. Following are some of the strategies I believe we can use to maximize the benefits if we can take film very seriously, because it will help to advance all developmental agenda that we can set as a nation. And I say it without any shred of fear that all developmental agenda can be shaped and pushed through film or the creatives in its entirety. 1, the key interventions, I believe my brother touched on the policies. We need to shape policies. I say shape because we need to know that as a nation, we are idiosyncratic. We have our peculiar needs. We are unique. And so even if we are looking at best standards across the world, we should be able to fashion out something that will work for us as a nation. For the fact that it worked in country A does not necessarily mean it can work here, but it can be something that we can look at and harness and shape something that will work for us. So shaping policies and providing a thriving environment for film. And when I say thriving, he was touching about the legal case that was out of court even before it got into court. An unavailability of a legal routine creates room for stagnation and retardation. It is obvious that any setup that fails to plans to fail, and that's a cliche that we know, and we know that we need to change and get things done right too. Regulation of investment in infrastructure and talent development. I intentionally lumped them together. Investment in infrastructure, like my brother was talking about. If I have a production ready currently, I have to either go into a facility that is not meant for exhibition of film, or try to manage to queue at the in quotes, the only facility we have for exhibition of same. It goes beyond that. Do we have places where we can go and even film properly to bring out the quality that we need in the productions that we are churning out? So for us, we believe that the establishment of a state-of-the-art film production facility like film or creative villages or hubs would be very useful to us. Film studios, post-production houses that can attract local and even international filmmakers to come and produce their stuff here. It is obvious that the West is choked, Europe is almost choked, and Africa is a destination that has become the preferred destination for filmmaking currently. And so we need to put facilities or infrastructure in place that will help us to be able to attract these people to come and film here. The next, the other point in this that I think we need to take very seriously, and especially for us as actors or performers, we believe that training programs, workshops, and educational initiatives to nurture local talent in various aspects of filmmaking, including directing, cinematography, screenwriting, editing, marketing, which we usually just think that it is a buying and selling thing. We need to have proper training in these areas. Then the third point that we think that needs to be taken seriously in any manifesto, and that any government or ruling class would have to take seriously, is the promotion of indigenous narratives and cultural heritage. Indigenous narratives and cultural heritage. I need us to understand that one of the problems that we have identified that has resulted in film taking a nosedive and almost dying is the fact that we were microwaving foreign productions. When we have our style, we have our way of passing on history, passing on traditions. I remember that the things that I remember that are cultural values that have lived with me were sent across to me through our storytelling style, where your father can call you and tell you a story like Nathan did to David, and then you yourself, you see that no, this thing is not right, that thing is. We have our way of life, we have our tradition, we have a way of passing on information, and it is very important for us to promote our indigenous narratives and cultural heritage. So we need to encourage the production of films that reflect the diverse cultural heritage and societal realities of the nation. You see on my chest, in the chest of a woman, we're talking about the Ashanti Kingdom and certain things that happened there, and the fact that traditions are put in place by man. And so if a particular tradition is obsolete, it needs to be critically assessed, and then whatever review has to be done would have to take place. We need to support indigenous filmmakers and storytellers to share their unique perspectives and narratives on both local and global platforms. I sat in Kumasi on a radio station years ago, and I said that the way film is going in our country, there's every possibility that film will die. And the only thing that can keep film on its toes is what is happening in the industry we call Kumahood, because they were telling our stories. They were looking at things that were happening in our lives and playing them back in the movies that they were churning out. So you watch a movie and you can see yourself in it. It had its excesses. It had its negatives. Could we have focused on that to shape it and make it work? And so it's very important for us to support indigenous filmmakers and storytellers, so they share their unique perspectives and narratives. And then the need for preservation and revitalization of traditional art forms languages and customs through the medium of film cannot be overemphasized. The fourth point we want to look at is the need to foster industry collaborations and partnerships. Because I need the music person, I need the fine artist, I need that other creative mind in order to produce my film to come out with the best of standards. And so we need to facilitate collaborations between government agencies, private sector entities, and non-profit organizations to strengthen the film ecosystem. Now, we can say, and I'm sure any of us here or even those listening would have had an aberration with a government institution when you have tried to get certain things done. Look at the National Theatre we have. I'm sure we have heard narratives of how difficult it is to get the shell, the thing we call National Theatre, which is a shell, where you have to go in even with your own air conditions to back the air conditions that are in there. You need to get your own sound, get your lights if you want to produce something that people can see and say this is of quality. So government agencies and how they relate to people in the film space is of essence, and we need to shape policies to ensure that it doesn't continue. We need to create the right incentives for co-productions, joint ventures, and international collaborations to enhance the quality and reach of locally produced films. And then there's a need to develop strategic alliances with film festivals, distribution networks, and streaming platforms to amplify the visibility of national cinema on a global scale. And I think this cannot be said any differently. We all know that that is a big challenge that we have. If, say, I finish with In the Chest of a Woman, and I know that there's a provision for me, if even I can't carry the entirety of the cast to another region, can I record it? Can it be taped like a Tyler Perry production, where we can go to region after region and play back for people to also see and take a part in this by watching the productions that are done. So it's important that we have platforms as well to be able to stream the productions that we put across, because we moved from the Pierre Moncore, went to the CD system, and we did not think and took it for granted that any storage material could be used to distribute films. So we're thinking of pen drives without thinking of a good way that it can inure to the benefit of the industry. That is why we happen to be where we are today. The next point, which is the fifth, is the need to support market access and distribution channels. The implementation of policies and incentives to stimulate domestic film production, distribution, and exhibition is very key, and we cannot take it for granted. There's a need for us to invest in the development of robust distribution networks, including cinemas, online platforms, mobile services, to ensure broad access to locally produced films. And then the facilitation of participation in international film markets, fora, workshops, trainings, festivals to showcase national talent and attract foreign investment is very important. You know that
that all boils down to money, right?
Yes, so it does boil down to money, but it also does boil down to creating the enabling environment for that to be done. Because I can tell you for a fact that in the nation that we are, people have represented Ghana in film fora, tourism fora, music fora, and they are relatives of government functionaries. So there are spaces like that, there are programs like that, but who attend such programs is very important. Do we take people who have the requisite knowledge to be able to go out there and make representations of same that you have done, to be able to catch international attention, to attract them to want to invest in our local industry? That is very important for us to show commitment to. Supporting the production of socially relevant documentaries, educational films, and public service announcements to catalyze positive behavioral change and collective action. You know, growing up, we used to see Information Services Department go into communities and they play all sorts of videos and materials to send information across. Remember, district level, election, you get them.
Give the people hope.
So these are channels that help government to drive on very important social interventions. So like e-levy, for instance, would it have struggled the way it struggled if we used a system like this to send information across to educate the masses? So there's the need for us to look at that and try to push it in terms of policy and force it to work. Engaging diverse stakeholders, including policymakers, civil society organizations, and grassroots movements in dialogue and advocacy campaigns inspired by impactful films. I was amazed when we were working out the amendment for the Ghana Actors Guild Constitution, and we got support from FES. I don't like mentioning it. Sometimes I mention it, Frederick Ebert Stiftung. I think I got it. And so we wanted to touch base with our various groupings across the country. And some of the inputs that came from the people that you think are not knowledgeable were very mind-blowing and insightful. So we need to be able to open up our channels of developing policies and shaping things that would work with us. So it's something that is a need, dialogue that will shape our discourse. And usually when we talk about advocacy, sometimes people shudder and people want to fret and move away from it. But advocacy is key. Today we have our National Film Authority because we started an advocacy and we ensured that what we wanted had to be in place. When duty bearers were not responding positively, there was picketing, and which is a very useful. Demonstrations are useful in our national discourse when we want to shape policies. And so we shouldn't stifle such advocacy endeavors in our dealings. So to conclude, I want to say that by embracing a holistic approach to film development that prioritizes infrastructure investment, talent cultivation, cultural promotion, industry collaboration, and social impact, nations can unlock the transformative potential of cinema as a driver of inclusive growth, sustainable development, and national identity. Through strategic leadership, investment, and innovation, the film industry can become a dynamic engine for positive change. Did I say positive change? And prosperity in the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ken Fiati is an actor, also the spokesperson for the Ghana Actors Guild. He just done with his presentation on the film industry. Thank you so much. Let me go around and take comments from Uncle Francis Doku.
Well, thank you. I again think that's a brilliant one that Ken has outlined. And just to be sure, Ken, you are the official spokesman for the Ghana Actors Guild.
Yes.
Or for this particular...
No, for the Ghana Actors Guild. Myself and Oscar Provincial speak for the president. Yeah.
Okay, all right, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there a follow-up question?
No. I know the state the Ghana Actors Guild is in, so it's good that we have people standing in and speaking for the guild.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think for me the point Ken made about representation at fora where we showcase, the things that we have is very, very important. And again, Ken talks about how the wrong people represent us, at some of those, fora. It happens also in other areas. Yes.
If not all.
Yeah.
The closer you are to national cake.
Yeah, the more likely.
Yeah, it happens in many other areas. And so it's something that we need to, I don't know how we can go around that, because it's something that's happening over and over again. It doesn't really matter who comes to government. It happens. It happens in tourism. There's so many tourism fora that happens around where we're supposed to go and market the destination. Talk about the things that we have. People go who may not necessarily be who have to go, but they do. So I think we need to tackle those fora more seriously, knowing that we're going to represent the country. But whatever it is, if it is a mining conference, if it is a tourism conference, if it's a film, the people who are in it are the ones who need to go and show what we need to be able to draw the people who will come in. So for me, that's a very important one, and we need to look at how we can go around it as new people try to win us to become, the people who will rule us. They need to take some of these things as feedback.
Thank you, Francis Doku. BeatMenace.
One thing I didn't agree with what Francis said was the people who rule us. Charlie, we be Republican. If we they put them in power.
Who will lead us?
Yes.
Don't they rule anyways?
Well,
Charlie, at this rate there, Charlie, you see no nighttime.
When you are asking for timetable for in tell you go and bring your own. It's okay. Continue.
No, but he was
In
making
fact,
a very strong point. that
in hindsight-
at this rate, at the night time, you can have a station.
Come to think of it, I think I take that back. Mr. Francis, I think you were right. You used the right lingo. I mean, given the current state of affairs, I mean, Mr. Ken, your submission was brilliant. You did highlight a number of things that I actually sort of jotted down, bullet pointed, just so it doesn't escape me when I do have a chance to speak. I guess we'll have to go around again at some point because I have quite a number of things to say. But
we will.
I'm saddened, especially because this year marks the centenary celebration of the late Ifua Sutherland. Okay. And even before independence, some of the things we sort of brushed upon with regards to a policy on culture and things like that, she actually did extensive work that, has been just relegated to the past. In fact, you did mention, the trigger for me was when he mentioned the National Theatre. We had a National Theatre that was grazed down, and then, she built, she was in charge of some of these things, among other people, other persons. But some of the lesser known of a lot of the phenomenal stuff she was able to do with, she did on her own and also with the help of government at the time and also other individuals in society, included building as many as 22 theaters across the country. No social media. Sometimes they don't have a clue about where they are going. They go, they mingle with the locals, they collect a lot of their local stories and that sort of thing, and built theaters. TV sets were not as popular then, but the stories were important. So how would you have, and you see, I get rubbed the wrong way when we have conversations about Ghana was the first country to attain independence. And then, at the end of the day, it all sounds like BS because we eliminate some of the most important and critical aspects of our social and political history. And the arts played a very fundamental role in that. He mentioned the Information Services Department. I vaguely remember those Defender 110s that were green and yellow. You understand? But at some point, we even had mobile cinemas. We had mobile libraries. I have photos in my personal archives of some of these things. And then you had very forward-thinking people like the late Ifua Sutherland, you had the late Saka Akwe, you had the BTK Hayfords, who introduced Koliko, puppeteering. And they will write very, very important plays that centered around conscientism. And this happened for a while. And then you had the traveling troops. They used to call it trekking. You had the pantomime groups. Okay, you had the minstrel shows. You had the comedians.
You had a concert party.
Concert party. So a number of things happened for a number of years before the whole conversation of self-government now. And the entire country rallied because everybody, Charlie, blood hot, techie rise. We need this now. And here we are, how many years after? Year of return, and we are discussing these same issues. The fact that we need to actually put pleas that, Charlie, we need performance spaces. It's an indictment on us. Open our doors. Here, we're the first to attain. We are always the first to have done something.
Everything.
Maybe that makes us the first to fail at it.
We are not the first to fail.
When we had our Accra Tema motorway, in England, they did not have a motorway then. People don't know this, though. People don't know these things. We are always the first.
In Germany?
I don't think it was. Actually, that was constructed, I think, for the most part by the Third Reich. So perhaps they did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. But, these things are a little triggering for me because I now have to ask again. When Mr. Doku started his submission, he said, this is not the first time we've heard some of these things.
Yeah.
How do we get away from partisan politics when it comes to some of these issues. But the most critical question I want to ask right now, and I may not necessarily have all the answers, is how do we hold these people accountable? Because as far as I'm concerned, they've all just been nothing.
The rulers?
As far as I'm concerned, they've just been nothing but a bunch of clowns to me. They don't respect us. They don't. I'll give you a classic example. Last year, I was supposed to write a score for... I'm going to put it out there because, I mean, it's water under the bridge. I was supposed to score a fairly big project, right? They needed local musicians. And you see, our people are skilled, but a lot of our traditional percussionists lack formal education, so they can't notate it, right?
Yeah.
So basically, the sensible way of going about it is you write the music, you create references. Okay. They come in, they rehearse. In Ghana, the usual thing is you find the right people for the job, give them a number of times to rehearse, you're feeding them, you're paying their transport money, and all of these things. Do you know at the end of the day, if you work by... Secondly, we don't even... Our musicians' unions do not even have statutory rates based on time to engage the services of these people. That is very problematic. Now, let me tell you why this whole thing of we are opening our borders, come do business with us, is a very, very silly idea. It's nice on paper. It's not practical. You work in film, you understand. What this meant was if I could have just notated everybody's parts, found people with the right instruments who can play exactly what I wanted, like I wanted, and I went to New York or LA, I'll spend less money with my flight tickets, paying them by the hour, because these are seasoned musicians. You can go to Nashville, you have the same situation. In 30 minutes, I can press record, and I have a record by the third take. In Ghana, I will be rehearsing for 2 weeks. I'm buying fried rice. It's not practical. So I think, you see, it gets to a point we need to... So at the end of the day, when we did costing, when we did a costing breakdown, the producer was like, this is a bit ridiculous. Because, number one, it's going to take time. Number two, it's going to cost me more money. And in life, Charlie, sometimes you can't lose both. You have to choose one. Ideally, money. Because if you have time and you're smart, you can make money. But you can't lose money and lose time at the same time. Which is why we all romanticize this idea or some of these ideals. But in the real world, they are not practical. It can't work. So Seven said something very important. You mentioned talent development. In our part of the world, we adore talent. For conception to happen, I've said this on several times. For conception to happen, it takes 5 million sperm that swim and fertilize one egg. So no matter the situation you are born with, you were that egg and the sperm that won. Yeah, it means you are special. Everybody is talented.
You are sperm shell.
Everybody has talent. You see, the thing is, everyone has talent. Talent is always inherent. It's either dormant or awakened, right? So the fact that somebody may not have necessarily discovered their talent before their death doesn't necessarily mean they did not have any talent at all. I find it problematic when we sort of hinge all of these things only to talent, when in the real world, it's what you do with that talent, i.e. development and access to structural things that are practical, that can foster a certain level of growth to talented people. That counts the most.
Wow. BeatMenace there, Kofi Boachie Ansah. Yeah, the BeatMenace. Thanks so much. Let's go on the phone line and speak to Uncle Ken. Then I come to you, Seven. Uncle Ken.
Kwame.
Oh, Uncle, you have to...
Oh, Jawase.
Uncle Ken, how are you doing?
I'm not bad. Greetings to all my favorite people in the studio. Good afternoon to all my favorite people in the studio.
Yeah, they are all here. They say hi to you.
Thank you. Yes.
Great. I hope you've been listening to the presentations from Seven to James to Ken.
I'm up the map for a change. Yeah.
You are up the mountains?
Yes. Yes.
Uko Ofie pe.
It was my day off today, so I had to go.
Nice one. And what do you make of the various presentations?
Yes, I've been paying attention, and I'll start off with, I want to make a statement to start off with. I think that with this discussion that we're having, it's a very, very important discussion, but we must also make sure that we don't fall in the same trap as the political party who prepare their mind and add lot of stuff that cannot be practical. First of all, there are laws governing the arts in this country. We have the Trade Pass. We also have the Home Act 1935. So everything we try to suggest or think should be done to be within the remit of the law. Otherwise, there will be problems. So we need to have that in the back of it. There are laws, and what we're trying to achieve should be within of the law. I listened to the politician who spoke and made some brilliant points. I particularly like the point he made about music education in schools. Now, the music education in schools, that for me is something government can actually work on. Because some people will argue and say that music making is a private endeavor. So some people that are thoughtful feel that they should not meddle in that. And I can say, but you need the enabling environment. That's cliche. What the enabling environment is what government needs to put in place for the private to thrive when they want to get business. So the music education, I think, is important in the school. The CMOs, and particularly in the music field, Gamro. Now, so many Gamro in and out about getting equipment that would enable them log the music in the various radio stations and elsewhere use music. How many years have we been talking about? And yet that has not been done. Now, this is something I think that government can help in place. So it is important this is sent to the various parties to include in their mind about this. But then again, I get worried. And Fiati made mention of the national team. If we put some of these things in the hands of government, are we sure that these things are going to be run properly? If it's in the hands of government. The private sector seems to know how to look after their own. So when it comes to this idea of logging, if the government buys whatever equipment that you need to log, who is going to be? Is it government officials who are going to be in charge, or government is going to purchase this equipment for Gamro to work with? I think that is for government to purchase for Gamro to work with. The CMOs, Gamro, once upon a time, lived on their levies. The levies were enjoying from government. And that is where most of the money that the musicians got came from. Once upon a time, when CDs and Piamon
became obsolete. They have now tried other media to formulate a law around the media, which of course, as usual, has taken long for them. Now, these are some of the things that we should prompt up on for them to be able to come up with a list of new media that levies will be gained from.
Uncle Ken, you are making a brilliant point, but it appears your line is not stable at all. So we are calling you back. We are reconnecting with you in a moment, please.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Uncle Ken is who we just heard now. He's up the mountains, not here in the studio today with us. Still here on Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A-Z. We're talking about the creative industry manifesto. We are proffering ideas to the political parties on what we think they should consider while they put together stuff for their manifestos for the creative industry. Yeah, if you have any question, any opinions, 055-1111-997. I have in the studio Ken Fiati, who is spokesperson for Ghana Actors Guild. James Aboagye spoke earlier on. He's president of FIPAG. Francis Doku is COO-Plugin Media and host of Africa Rising podcast. Kofi Boachie Ansah is BeatMenace, and he is an audio engineer and creative entrepreneur. We have Seven Xavier. He is also president of the Ghana Music Alliance. And then Percy Obrimpon Ejapon will be joining us on phone. He is president of the Ghana Comedians Network. Now, Seven. Yeah, so let me come to you and pick your thoughts on Ken's presentation.
Well, listening to Ken basically, I'll bring it down. Okay, that's good. Yeah, listening to Ken basically shows the similarities between the music industry and the film industry, and the same things that we go through. They go through the same things, and the players in the same sectors are also fighting against each other. We all, in a way, although what we do is a private venture, we still need the government in a lot of ways to have a proper environment where we can all thrive and make money off, and maybe get taxed by the government, so the government also gets money back anyway. I think he also touched on the Creative Arts Bill, which I think just that one act would help a lot in shaping our direction as a creative industry going forward.
You believe is the answer to
it's not the
a lot
answer
of our problems?
Well, it starts somewhere where we can actually now build on. Because as of now, it's like we are in this vacuum where we don't even know where to start or build on anything. But that actually mentions or puts certain things into perspective or a place where from then you can actually build on it and go on from there. For example, like I said, the Creative Arts Fund is actually in there. And I remember when we talked about it, I was very skeptical about it. But at that point, we were only making an ally. It wasn't like you were giving an inputs actually to whether it should be in there or not. But I made a point then that will be the easiest way to reward creatives who are pro a particular party. I mean, you only get funding if you support that particular party in power at a time. That's what it will be. That's how it would end up being, But I hope that, and I remember, I think for the fund, I think the board members included people from the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Finance. It was crazy. It wasn't people from the creative sector. As we are still talking government overseeing almost like 90% of everything that goes on. And I think one person from the creative sector, but it's a bunch of ministries overseeing the fund, and then there's one. So it's basically going to be a government, just like how Maslow became, all these other things became. But so at least if it is implemented, if that's what we have, and if we can build on that, that would be great. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I think you mentioned a few times. I wasn't sure if you want to like direct government money involved in film, whichever way it will come in. But personally, I think for music, I wouldn't want to see government money coming into individuals or a group of people because in our case, musicians, you know what happened with Aboagye, that nobody knows what happened with that money.
He wasn't an individual. He was a head of a music body.
But the funny thing is, when you mention that money, everybody points to him as an individual.
Representing a body, the union.
Okay, well,
So
still,
if it's going to a body, an institution, a group of people, that is okay.
well, I'll say, I'll probably want it to go to, so I'll like it in the form of the fund where it will go to entities who actually embarking on a business, not entities who are not in for business. And it's we all know, I mean, from day one we knew the money would evaporate somehow.
And these entities will be led by somebody.
Exact. So there's so many loopholes that can be that we will have to go through, or it's always something. It's always something.
Yeah.
But I hope that we can have a few good people in our midst that can actually. Candace laughing. Aren't you a good person?
Have a few good people.
because if tomorrow, let's say, Actors Guild gets a fund for something, like you are a spokesperson, you'll be leading.
Well, so at least there are some models that we can learn from. Ghana Culture Forum did a yeoman's job when they had a fund, like support from government. What I have been saying basically is what you're saying, that for film, for the Act 935, can we have a legislative instrument that cures the gray areas? Because when you look at the law as it is, Act 935, you may puke about some of the provisions in there. But what gives it direction and focus is the legislative instrument. And so that is why when Act 1048, that the Creative Arts law
Industry
came,
Act,
we quickly had to put pressure to ensure that there's a legislative instrument to guide what is done.
Okay.
Am I free to ask whether government is not committed to it? That is why we don't have these LIs in place. So that people can do things the way they want to do things and not how things have to be done. That is where the problem for our sector is. A lack of that's why I keep saying government, because like you're saying, the board has representations. Even if it is 90% governmental and 10% creative, which I will not vouch for, even if it is, the duty bearers, do they ensure that what the law stipulates, what the right thing is being done? You understand? So that becomes a starting point for us to say, no, this is not working. Can we go this way? That is not working. Can we go that way? I heard that it was even said that people in the creative space should not work in the creative arts agency. Whether you have knowledge in a particular area,
you
listen
shouldn't
to
work there.
the pointers that are coming out from here. Why can't we, as political party A, say that Mr. A, B, C are not from my party, but these are minds that have creative ideas that can help shape the creative industry? Can I harness the intellect that they have? So it doesn't become a political thing. It becomes a national agenda for us to drive the creatives. I puke when I hear people say I belong to party A, party B, party C. At the end of the day, is the industry working?
Exactly.
And that is what we should be thinking about.
Okay, that is what we should be thinking about. Joy 99.7 FM Showbiz A-Z, and we've been talking about the creative industry manifesto, what our industry stakeholders think the political parties should incorporate into their manifestos when it comes to the creative industries. Still here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're back after this. We're here talking about the creative industry manifesto. I have Uncle Francis Doku. James Aboagye was on earlier on phone. Fiati is also right here. Kofi Boachie, Ansah, BeatMenace, Seven Xavier. And in a moment, we'll be speaking to Percy Obrimpon Ejapon, who is representing the Ghana Comedians Network, still on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, it's a new world of doing business, and your business shouldn't be left out. It's time to get a mumu for business today to accept payment for over 15 million Momo customers. All you need is a business registration certificate on your Ghana card. Applying to be MTN Momo merchant has been made simple and fast. You just have to dial *5051# and follow the prompts or apply online at momomerchantapplication.mtn.com.gh. You'll receive a reference number which you can use to track your application, so don't get caught waiting. Enjoy secure and convenient transactions from your business with MTN Momo today. Note that the application is free, so do not pay any money to anyone for a merchant payment solution. Report any fraudulent charges using the Momo app available on Play Store and App Store. Joy 99.7 FM. Let's go straight on the phone line and speak to Percy Obrimpong. Hello, Percy. Good afternoon. Okay, Percy Obrimpong is the president of the Ghana Comedians Network, and he is on phone now. Percy.
Yes, my brother.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
And I trust you're doing well?
Yeah, we're keeping up. Keeping up. How about you too?
We're doing great right here in the studio. We have some of the creative arts stakeholders seated. They have done their presentations. We're waiting for you to do yours. How is the comedy industry going?
Please come again.
How is the comedy industry doing?
Oh, okay. First of all, let me just quickly greet your listeners, and if people are on live, people watching, your viewers, and also want to salute my comrades who are in the. I've been listening to them during my birthday fight. I'm on a travel expedition. Let me say so. So far, I would say comedy. I mean, has moved from one level to the next higher level. We're keeping on to move to the highest and the highest because the sky is the limit. We, those who have been around, been in the foundation part of comedy, appreciate where we have gotten to, because we know where we're coming from. We know the challenges we went through. We know how we hustled to break through hurdles. For Ghanaians to appreciate GH comedy to the stage as it is now, definitely I would say to God be the glory.
Great one there. Now, as we are preparing for elections and the political parties will be coming to us with their promises, manifestos, these should be policies that guide what they do when they're giving the mandate to come govern the country. And we are concerned about our creative industry because that is what feeds us. Now, what do you suggest should be some of the things that these political parties should consider when fashioning out the policies for the various sectors of our industry?
Okay, thank you very much. For me, I think the basic foundation is leadership to be intentional about the entertainment industry. It's an industry. It needs to be intentional about it. That's to be the first thing. Because when you have it in your mind, you have it in your heart, you put in everything to do what you need to do to be able to execute it. So they need to be intentional about it and know that this is an industry which can also take a chunk of the unemployed youth, a chunk of its citizens who would have opportunity to be part of, especially the comedy industry which I represent and as the president. Because we have seen what people have achieved out of this craft. So for me, that would be the first thing that they should have. They should let us know that truly, not just by saying, by the steps that they take. Because if they have that in their heart and they have that in their mind, definitely it will guide the steps that they take for us to be able to move the entertainment industry or the comedy industry, especially, to the place that it needs to be. Secondly, we want them to help us give it the proper recognition as an institution that has human beings in it. They should appreciate that they need to give us recognition. Example, the olden days when Kwame Nkrumah would travel to different countries and take entertainers with him to push the agenda of what the nation represents. If they're able to do that, where we have government institutions doing things outside the country, or the leadership going somewhere, and they will pick comedians with them who go and express that talent to the world. Because so when you're out there, that's going to be able to get the different opportunities. So those things should be critically outlined, and structures to be put in place, and opportunity to be given for comedians to be able to have the opportunity to travel all around the world. Talking about comedy, and we can be intentional about it by using comedy to sell Ghana, where we say things in our materials, and people will yearn that they need to come to Ghana and see what we have here, which will boost tourism. The other thing is the structures. An example, when I was listening, people were talking about taxes and all of that. Yes, as a growing industry, we need to have a very serious tax holiday. I'm using serious tax holiday because the foundation needs to be built. The people in it need to be stronger, because this is something that the human resources in this industry is not getting any help, and rather paving a certain place where people can have their daily bread in it. So when somebody is doing that, for me, I feel it is fair enough for us to have the opportunity to have a tax holiday, because for me, even though I'm a star comedian, let me say I'm a big political, I research all over whatever around this nation. We have foreign companies who come to this country and have tax holidays. It is not far-fetched for comedians to do their shows, which we struggle to get people there. There are times when even you have to give complimentary tickets because you want to get the place filled, and not only to get people interested and for them to see what you are doing. So if a comedian who is a young guy who is not going around with CVs trying to build something up, and then the tax system is pulling the person down, it's not helpful. And I'm sure when you go to Nigeria has a very nice, because we always want to use Nigeria, but there's a good example out there that we can use. Because if they are stronger than us, let me say, then it means something that they are doing, we can see the results, that it is okay for us to learn from it. It's okay for us to learn from it. Because when you know the money that Nigerian government has pumped into the entertainment industry, then when you see where it is, it didn't just happen by magic. But because their leaders said to be intentional, it had to be intentional. So we are asking the political parties that if they want to have the entertainment at heart, these are some of the things they need to pay attention to. The venues that we need to be doing performances. We need to get structures that can bring all the stakeholders, production houses, come together so that we can structure how events are organized. So we know that today it is this particular production, so we don't have clashes and all of that. And then government will give support, and especially the government agencies. Some of us will stay in budget of government agencies. They have to be intentional that comedy should be given part of it. When events are going on, at least minimum 2 comedians can be called to perform. Minimum 2 comedians can be called to perform. So that we know that we are working, and that we can take care of our family. We can also inspire people who will not go into robbery or fraudulent means and all of that, because they know that, if I'm going to comedy, I can make a certain amount of money. I can have a certain level of respect, recognition, which I don't need to go and involve myself in any negative or any bad vices that will not lead me anywhere. Because whether they like it or yes, the numbers of Ghanaian youth is going from one level to the next level. It's growing. And so we need to open up different things that will consume the human resource of the nation. And comedy is critically one of them. And since the time of old, comedian has been available. It has been a bit of transformation into the next level of comedy that we see all over the world, where we have the Kelvin Hart and we have all the others. We mentioned Nigerian friends and brothers, what they are able to do with it. So they need to be intentional. For me, that's what I want to keep drumming into their ears. Because if they have it at heart, trust me, they will put all the strength and for all the things that we need for it to happen to come to being. So taxes, when we are doing events, when they don't even know how we struggle, sometimes we don't even have sponsors, and we struggle, and then you have tax authorities coming to have a hustle and battle with you, and before you are done with an event, you are owing. I have some people who probably are owing money from people that they use able to put something together. Because life is a struggle. So people will go through this thing. So leadership needs to help so that going through this thing will not be unnecessarily tough. Will not be unnecessarily tough. So this is critical. So we need to just put these structures in place. And I'm sure as time goes on, more detailed things will be out there because we the comedians are preparing a whole thing to be out there so we can tell the leaders that this and that and this and that will help what we are doing. So for now, with this key structures, when they are put there, I'm sure there will be a ripple effect. And then as we move on, we can see where to fill in, we can see what to take out, we can see how to adjust, how to moderate it, how to come under a certain structure that comedians will be, should I say, we have an association, we'll see how we can manage ourselves and be regulated and see what's done, what's not supposed to be done and all of that. And then we'll grow as a nation. We will grow as a nation. So basically, this is what we are asking for. This is the opportunity for us. National events, both internally and externally and all of that. And also, totally the Foreign Affairs Ministry able to play a role together with the tourism agency, the authority, the arts and entertainment industry, so that we can have a structure and help the GDP of this nation to grow. So Kwame, basically for now, because of time and where I am and all of that, to show this thing, what I've said, I was able to, it's clear.
That's a brilliant
for all
presentation.
The leaders or politicians listen to this, able to imbibe something in whatever they are doing. Even their political campaigns. So we are not anywhere. All we know is that we can come and cool them down.
Oh, you want to mount their campaign platforms, eh?
We call it, some of us come and perform for them so actually the things delegates are getting, we can get some and get it better by in the right way, should I say.
Bessie, the last one, is it comedy or it's real?
Come again?
Your last statement, is it comedy or you mean business?
As far as I can see, as far as we comedians can see money and see human beings, we are ready to serve.
Thank you very much, Percy Obrimpon. He's the president of the Comedians Network of Ghana. Yeah, the Ghana Comedians Network. You just heard him there talking about the policy makers being intentional, taking entertainers around wherever they go in the world, giving them tax holidays. You know, we getting venues. The comedians should also be built to perform at some of these big programs. Yeah, okay, including the campaign platforms. Now, let me go to Uncle Franz. Even before we pass commentary on this particular presentation by Percy, let's take the presentation on tourism. And Francis Doku is standing by to do that for us. Uncle Francis, are you ready?
No, I'm ready.
And a Piamonko.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kwame. And thank you to Joy FM. I think it's important that we note that tourism has for a long time been a conversation that is had, behind the scenes. But it looks like recently we brought it up onto the front burner and we have conversation on it. Like shows like this, which focuses more on entertainment, showbiz, and all that. It's important that we note the role that tourism plays at. It's the things that make tourism become tourism are the things that we talk about every day in entertainment, in show business, and all that. And so before I go on to the points that I think we need to focus on, where I believe any government that comes into power must look at them and find ways to act on them. I think it's important to note what role tourism plays in national development. One of them is economic growth. Tourism generates foreign exchange earnings. When people come into your country, they are going to spend foreign currency. If you go out of here to any country, even Togo, just next door, you would have to carry French francs. So it's important we know how that tourism helps create employment opportunities and stimulate economic growth, and all that come in foreign currency. In 2019, we said that we made 3.3 billion from tourism. Especially because it was the year of the return. It was, according to the GTA, the highest we had in a long time. And it also helps infrastructure development. Tourism drives investments in infrastructure development, such as transportation, accommodation, and I will come on to this, but this is my preamble, you know. And also cultural exchange. Tourism promotes cultural exchange between countries, between people of different countries. We get to know things because we travel to other countries, and people learn a lot about us if they come into our country. So it's important we underscore that. They also help environmental conservation. Tourism promote environmental conservation by supporting ecotourism initiatives. I mean, it is said that Volta region has a lot more ecotourism initiatives than most other regions because of the waterfalls, the mountains, a whole lot. And we need to look at how we can preserve that for people to come and see. And then maybe let me add one more, that it helps foreign relations. We can always interact with people, governments upon governments, individuals in different countries, and it helps us be able to market our country. That fact cannot be underestimated. When I was, sometimes when you travel, people ask you about Ghana. A lot of people don't know about Ghana. I mean, we have to know that. Many people don't know about Ghana. Sometimes they confuse us with Guyana. But it is when you travel that you mention Ghana. Oh, Ghana is in Africa, West Africa, close to Nigeria. They say, okay, that kind of thing. So it helps us be able to market our country so people know about us, among other things, and then so that also helps with national branding. So having said some of these, and it's not exhaustive. There's a lot more that tourism does, but these are some of the things that tourism help us be able to do. I think it's important that we look at how we can the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I have to be going back and forth. Yeah, that's tourism. So
you are touring the screen.
What we're putting out today is to look at how we can position Ghana as a premier tourist destination in West Africa. I mean, even though we want to market Africa as one destination, it has to be underscored. The fact has to be underscored that it's still competition. So what are the things that we have to do to make sure that we draw a lot more numbers into our country? Because as we noted, the more people come in, the more they spend, and the more it goes round. The taxis, they pay the Uber drivers, the taxi people, the hotels, the restaurants, and all that. And also by ensuring that we can showcase our country to the world. So the objective, I believe, for putting together a manifesto that talks about how we can make our destination the preferred one is to look at how to increase tourist arrivals and also the revenue that comes from it. Because if you're measuring how countries are ranked according to how people visit them, it's about tourist arrivals, the numbers that people that come into your country, and how much that contributes to the revenue, tourism revenue. So the two metrics that you use are how many people are coming into your country, how much did they spend. And so our objective is to look at how to increase the numbers and also increase the revenue that comes from tourism. And promote sustainable tourism, because it's not every tourism that is tourism. I mean, people could do things that could be harmful to their citizens.
Funeral tourism.
And harmful to even the people who come in. So sustainable tourism is very important. How, when people come to any attraction, how would they be able to benefit from it? And develop and improve our tourism infrastructure. It goes without saying. This is very important that as we position ourselves as a place that people should visit, what are we doing in terms of our tourism infrastructure and development? And then enhance the experience that people have when they come into your country. In December, when people come, mostly what they do is go to parties, nightclubs, and all that. Can we enhance it? Can we give them a bit more than just going to a castle and going to do parties and all that? What are the things that we can do to make sure that we give a lot more experience to the people who visit us? And then empower our local communities through the development of tourism. Tourism can be a big employer of people. In places where they do it well, in fact, tourism is the biggest employer in any industry, because tourism goes around a lot. It's a lot more than just this or that. It's many things that come together. So if we do it well, we're empowering people in the local communities and giving them the employment and all that. And then also showcase our country as it is. As I mentioned, many people may not know what Ghana is or what Ghana stands for. But it's only through tourism, when we properly do it, properly put ourselves together, that we are able to tell the people what it is. So what are some of the key, in my view, strategic strategic actions that need to be taken to ensure that we benefit from this tourism thing that we have been trying to do for a very long time. First of all, I think 2019 was a big year for us as a nation, where the year of the return was a big thing that we put out. It was supposed to be from January right through to December, but I think at the point we're still trying to figure how it will be, and we focused more on it towards the end of the year. It was one of the biggest tourism marketing things that we did. Recently, when I was having a conversation with somebody on the podcast right from Uganda, he tried to mention the year of the return. Wow. So I remember 5 years on, it's still something, a big recall for people about Ghana. I think the thing that we need to look at is how do we, again, package our country and market it, because it's important that we keep our name in the minds of people. Other countries do it. I mean, you watch CNN and you see how countries are marketed, you know, and all that, promotions and all that. South Africa puts a lot of money behind promoting their country. Dubai put a lot of money behind. So it's important that we understand that we can't win this tourism thing if we don't go into marketing and putting our country out there. So we need to package Ghana and sell it a bit more. People will say that we didn't benefit much from the year of the return because we didn't put in things to benefit from. But I think as far as recall, awareness, top of mind is concerned, Ghana gained a lot from that. And so we need to look at other marketing strategies that we'll do so that we get people to appreciate our country. And when they decide to travel, it's on their mind that they'll come here. Infrastructure development is very, very important as we position ourselves to be a very good tourist destination. The last time I was here, Kwame, if you recall, I mentioned about my travel to Cape Three Points and the difficulty in traveling on that stretch of road to one of the most iconic places tourism-wise, because Cape Three Points is the lowest point of West Africa, first of all, and the lowest point of Ghana. And so many people would like to go and see the lowest point of Ghana, but the road network to that place is terrible. And it's like that to many other tourist sites. And so there's a need for us to look at it. Last week I was in Bosomtwi area, and the road from Kumasi, the Lake Road, my God, is terrible. At some point, they've done it to a certain point, but for about 10 kilometers, you just travel on sand and gravel, you know, and all that. And this is a very important, this is one of the biggest, you know, if you like, attractions in Ashanti region. When people want to go to the beach, they go to Bosomtwi. Maybe when Cheddar. So it's important that we look at that stretch of road, just like any other road that goes a very important tourism attraction. I think that visa regime is very important. If we position ourselves, we need to look at the visa regime. How do people come into our country? Some countries have said that when you're coming in, you don't need a visa. Just go online and fill a form and pay maybe a small money, $10 or so, and then come in. It doesn't matter where you come from. Seychelles, for instance, just go online, fill the authorization form, and then travel to a country. I think Ghana has to look at our visa regime as part of how we can get people into our country. In 2015, Ghana did something very brilliant. We said that any African can just pick your bag, come to Ghana, and then you get visa on arrival. I think we need to go a step further and look at how we can create the opportunity for people on our continent to visit. I mean, people holding other countries' visas do not even sometimes need visa to come to Ghana. Other countries' passports do not even need visa to come to Ghana. And so I think that if we want to increase regional tourism, which is very important, we need to look at how to go ahead of the AU's Agenda 2063, which says that by 2063, every African should be able to travel to any African country without the need for visa. I don't know if that will happen in our lifetime, but this is the agenda that the AU has, and that doesn't mean just traveling, but even living and working in other African countries. We hope that becomes realized in our lifetime. But I think Ghana can find a way. After all, BeatMenace, we are number one in everything. We're the first to gain independence. You know,
We should lead this one. We should be the first to do this.
So we should be leading the continent. What I realize is that we stopped talking about the gateway to West Africa. But maybe we'll get there. But
we still have the gate.
Sure we take the lead in the visa regime. It's important also that we look at safety for the people who travel into our country. There may be some policies that talks about safety and all that, but I think we need to go beyond that. Recently, I was speaking to a young man who has developed a system that makes sure that when you travel and you download the app, it gives you travel information. Most of it is security and safety information. It has an AI that aggregates what's happening. Maybe if you're in Kumasi, maybe it's going to rain heavily or there's some action happening somewhere. It's able to aggregate all and give it to you, so you know how to plan your way and all that. I think we need to look at how to talk to some of these young people who are doing brilliantly in their own and bring them together and look at how to increase safety and security, because a lot of people see the things that are done in many countries and they want to travel, but sometimes it's just because they also see some, issues about security and all that it prevents them from. But if we position our country as a safe place for you to travel to, and you can have enough information to help you manage, it will help us be able to get more people to. So it's important that we put on our agenda to make sure that we have a policy around safety. Then this is very important for me, and I think it should be important for everybody who wants to lead or rule. I like that. In a sense that, look, we've spoken about MICE for a very long time. MICE just means meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. The countries that have positioned themselves as MICE destinations, on the continent, I think Rwanda has become one important MICE destination. South Africa has been there for a very long time. And you need to have certain things to be considered as a MICE destination. And a lot of them that we do not have. For instance, there's no one, and that's why I said that I agree with what Seven said earlier. There's no one single convention center of world class in Ghana, not in Accra, not anywhere. We don't have one. And to be a very formidable or recognized MICE destination, you need to have some of those things. The infrastructure when it comes to roads, infrastructure of transportation, hotels and all that, we only have just a basic, level. And I think that there should be some master plan that looks at how we can, in a matter of maybe 2-3 years, position ourselves as a destination for anybody thinks about the biggest conferences, conventions, exhibitions and all that, they'll think about Ghana. And these things are some of the important things we have to do to be able to position ourselves in that manner. Let us at least build one convention center. Just one convention center. What Rwanda did was to partner with Radisson Blu to build them a convention center, which is a convention center plus the Kigali Convention Center. It has a hotel by Radisson Blu, and then it has the convention center and all that. So countries that have considered themselves to be that are building it. If you take, for instance, the cities in South Africa, Cape Town, Joburg, Durban, these three are always fighting for conventions and things to come to because they have the facilities that will be able to. And I think that we need to sit down, have a master plan for this. I remember that we set a desk of mice at the attic. I don't know what has come of it, but it's not just setting a desk. It's about looking at the things that have to be done to be able to position.
Has somebody poisoned the mice?
Mice probably fell into a trap.
They've been trapped.
I think another thing that we need to look at if we want to position ourselves is that what is our agenda for aviation? We built the airport Terminal 3, which many people admired, but we haven't been able to go beyond that to be able to set ourselves as a hub for aviation. What I understand is that Togo is doing something very brilliant when it comes to aviation. The number of aircraft that land, the number of airlines that come there and go from there, they have some partnership with Ethiopian, and so it's helping to be able to build a place as a hub. I think if we want to lead in tourism, we need to look at how we can improve on our hubs by setting up the facilities, infrastructure development. We mentioned that, the transport arrangement, air transport arrangement, and all that, cargo facilities, etc. we need to look at how to properly position our country, our region as a hub for aviation. And that also means that, Kwame, the last time we mentioned, we need to fly a national flag.
Yeah.
We need a national flag to be flown, to be able to consider us. I mean, smaller countries that cannot compare to us in any way have their national flags being flown. Seychelles has a national, Zimbabwe does, Rwanda does, Namibia, everybody. It's just as the number one that we don't. So we need to look at that, create a hub and make sure that we have a national airline that will fly our flag. And then one more point before we come to the conclusion is also education for the communities. One of the biggest difficulties that we have is who owns the tourism facility in the local community. Is it the traditional council? Is it the local assembly, or is it the state? Most of it are things that we need to have conversation with. I think there's a law that has been passed that wants to look at how to harmonize that so that all comes under the Ghana Tourism Authority. That has been difficult to implement. There's a need that whoever comes to the government looks at that law and look at how to implement it so that whatever confusions there are, we will clear them so that everybody will benefit. The local people will benefit, because if there's confusion, it forestalls any development, any employment opportunities that tourism creates in the local area. And so we need to look at that and make sure we work on it to we mentioned capacity. One of the things that are very difficult in tourism development is a lack of knowledge and understanding of the things that happen there, whether it comes to management or the staff. I mean, many people talk about customer service, for instance, that when you go to any place and you order something, somebody can bring you something that you didn't order, and they don't think that they've wronged you in any way. I think it's a need for everybody who has anything to do along the value chain to have some training. Taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and co. Can't be bothered. I mean, there's some markets when you go to, everybody knows why you are there, and they give you the necessary recognition. I think it's important that though we have a tourism training school, it's important that their capacity is enhanced. I think recently also most of the universities are introducing tourism, at both the first degree and master's level. It's important that we empower them to be able to properly train people so that we create a tourism knowledge environment, for our people who practice. One of the things that I think we all know we've done over years is traditional festivals. Every community has some form of traditional festival. There's been conversations about how to properly package these things and market them on a bigger scale. But those conversations have always been just conversation on paper and all that. I think there's a need for somebody to say that, okay, can we look at how to brand our traditional festivals and make them, because festivals are kind of unique to Ghana. Most other communities, they create festivals, but ours have been with us for a long time, and the only thing we can do to make sure that they go beyond just the people in a community is to make sure that we brand them. There are bigger ones and there are smaller ones. Can we put them together and look at how to put them on a national scale? So it is something that is done with a proper marketing support, like the way we do COO, for instance. Can we extend that to most of the other festivals and make them, beyond just the people who organize them in their local community?
Why don't you just want to leave it out? Because I think it kind of dilutes what the festival is. And the reason I'm saying that is I was wondering why you don't want to leave it the way it is, because I think it kind of dilutes the festival, especially if you try to market it, quote unquote, because I've been to
Seven. Could you please reserve this point so that when we come around, you make that comment? So, Uncle Francis.
Just make small notes.
Yes, more.
So I think also, if anybody has been to the castles, we have three castles at Osu, Cape Coast, and Elmina, and then over 20-something forts. So if you've been to any of the forts and castles, recently, you realize there's some deterioration. Yeah.
Don't worry, it's allowed. It is free variation, don't worry.
And we need to look at how to preserve them and make sure that generations after us would also have access to these things. Anybody been to Fort President in Keta? It's gone, completely gone. Because we haven't been able to the sea and all that. And there are ways that some of these things could be preserved. The forts and castles in the central region and western region and all that. Last year I was in Diskov, and I think it's one of the most preserved because it's a private fort. It's been sold to a private Englishman who comes occasionally to make sure that they paint, like every 6 months they paint it. You know, I have 2 minutes, I'll end soon. You know, so I'm saying that we need to make sure that we preserve the things that we have. Recently, when we did a preservation and reclamation, if you like, of the museum, the museum in Accra, we've seen a lot of people going there and all that. It's a small museum anyway, but at least we preserve it, and I'm sure we're making some revenue out of that. So we need to go back to some of these things that are getting deteriorated and project them. People complain that we don't have a lot of tourism products. If you come to Ghana, there's only a few things you can do. Other markets you go and so many things you don't even finish, and then your time is due and you come. We need to sit down and look at the offerings that we give people who come, the experiences they have. We've been selling cocoa since Kofi Boachie came back with cocoa, as we are told from Fernando Paul. But what have we done out of cocoa?
We are the face.
Yeah. What have we done with the cocoa farms and and all that in terms of tourism? How have we packaged that? There's so many birds, so a lot of things that people don't come to Ghana for bird watching, but we have so many bird species that if we are able to package some of these, it will be things that somebody will just leave someplace and say, okay, I'm going to Ghana just for bird watching and all that. We're not known for wildlife. People will go to East Africa and all that. I don't know if we want to get into that. But the point is that, and that's a very good point. One time I was at a forum in Indaba, and a documentary maker from CNN, said one of the reasons they do not like to associate Ghana with wildlife is that they see people holding. When you pass by, that railway line, holding, and it put them off totally. So for Ghana, they decided they won't come here anymore because
you couldn't be here, including your
and I think the last point to make is investment. I think last year there was a forum that wanted to look at how to invest in tourism. And it's important that we look at that as a very important way because the government can't do everything. There's a need to look at how to strategically align with people, but the necessary things have to be done to make sure that we are able to benefit from this. And investment is important because all the things we said, if we don't have the people who invest in them, they won't happen. Mm-hmm. What is happening, for instance, to the Marine Drive? That's a massive. Then I don't know what happens to it, but we need to position ourselves.
It's in the making.
To get, strategic investment into our tourism place, and I believe that if we're able to do all this, because tourism, overall tourism has the potential to make a significant contribution to national development.
Great,
but it requires careful planning. And Obrimpon says something, it must be deliberate, Okay. Everything has to be deliberate.
Sure.
And the countries that have progressed, that gets the biggest numbers of arrivals and revenue, they have deliberately done so. Seychelles says that, look, we don't want to have 1 million people visit our country. Mm-hmm. Maximum we want is 400,000. But we know who we want. Mm-hmm. And they focus on the people they want. When they come, they know what they will spend and all that. So the strategy is there. It doesn't matter which government comes or goes. That strategy is one, and it helps them be able to position themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis Doku, COO-Plugin Media and host of Africa Rising podcast. And that was a presentation on tourism. I think we don't have enough time left, so I can do the recap now. We're going to do our commentary on both Obrimpon and tourism. So we are merging Obrempo and tourism. BeatMenace will have a lot of time, not too much. But for the presenters,
that time is gone.
Yeah, for the presenters, I'm giving you 1 minute each for the commentary. This man is the commentator.
I think I had a lot to talk about, but
please summarize for me.
Yes, I'll summarize. I think one thing I was trying to talk about earlier was the
festival.
The festival and trying to market it one that dilutes it in a certain way. I've been going to the one in the mountains.
Ojira,
yes.
Okay.
I've been going to Ojira, and these days I've been seeing poles, dancing poles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the one in Winneba.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure that is part of the main festival.
I don't know, but it's
some people. The youth organize other.
Yeah, for some reason, the
parties, side attraction.
For some reason, the parties are now more of what people go to and not the actual thing anymore. Yeah, just like Homowatu, these days that nobody cares about what happens. It's all about the party at night, and that's what. Trust me, you see that my boys from Nima, Pukwase, like they come from all over to the not the actual event, but the after parties, and that's what people care about now. So I don't know how. Well, I mean, I'm sure you can come up with a way to do it, and also the tourist sites and people owning them, or actually we're not sure if people actually own them or not. But there's one somewhere that I'll go to, and I was told that the MP owns the waterfall. So
that's around a brewery, I'm sure.
Oh my God! How did you know?
I know the MP who owns it.
Oh, okay. Is that legal? Because I want to get one. I want to get a waterfall. Is that legal?
Yeah,
it's legal.
No, it is. It is because then, like I mentioned, the one of the forts is owned by somebody. Because obviously, there will be initial owners who may have passed it on to other people who may have passed it on to other people. Because it's in a particular place, because lands are not owned by a state. Lands are owned by families and and all that. So if it's on the family land and they decide to sell it, it's matter of
okay. Thank you.
Will you go buy waterfall?
Let me come to BeatMenace. BeatMenace, yeah.
That's all I have to say. Thank you once again, Mr. Francis. Always brilliant. I just don't know why you haven't invited me to your podcast. I need to speak on wildlife because I hear at the Atiwa forest there was a particular species of duiker. It's in the deer family, but much smaller, that eats herbs exclusively.
Yeah.
Wow.
And traditionally, in the Akan diet, it was used mainly as a means to flavor meals. Those days, Maggie Cube and things, But I hear Ghana was or is one of the few countries that actually had a particular species. It was native to that area. And so when conversations about the development
and preservation
of that area came up, I mean, these were some of the conversations being had. Anyway, year of return, a lot of things could have been much better, right? We usually when we speak about Ghana, we always have could have beens, lots and lots of that. But we do know a lot of funds were generated. And one of the primary vehicles that drove the traffic, especially with a lot of diasporans to Ghana, was certainly the very tragic history of slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and the role, especially Elmina, Cape Coast Castle, played in all of that. And so it is very sad that we have a lot of these forts and castles rotting away. Where are the monies going to? You see, in as much as this is not supposed to be around, we need to also normalize conversations about accountability, because it's getting ridiculous. Because I mean, if we get all these, we have the influx of a lot of traffic, a lot of funding that's generated as a result, even though it can be better optimized. We need to start normalizing conversations about what those funds are being channeled into, Something stuck with me with his mention of regional tourism and the possible expansion of it. I think that definitely needs to be looked at. The visa regime is very, very important. And I want to mention the Ghana embassies across the world and how complicit they are, because a lot of them are not professional. I've had like terrible experiences with Ghana embassies abroad. Terrible. All you need to do is just go online and read people's experiences. They could lost your passport right now. Ebeira.
Really?
Oh yeah. Some random person where they work will just walk into some office, bring a whole stack, they distribute it to people. Meanwhile, they sit there 4 or 5 hours. It's just Kotobabi version 2 in Obimanso. We need to critically look at whatever the Ghanaian experience has slowly evolved to become. Okay,
It's like it's happening all across.
exactly, because we can't talk about making things better in the tourism sector if we do not address some of these issues. I love the fact that he mentioned aviation. That's a kind of worms I don't want to open. I think would tackle that, because
we'll be back next week and next week and next week.
Right. Aviation there, Charlie.
Until somebody decides to do it.
And transport. Charlie, we can't be a tourist destination when I only have 5 days, because that's all I could save for, and to get leave off work, come and enjoy Ghana small. And 80% of that time is just me being stuck in mindless traffic because somebody doesn't want to use their brain.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We need to enforce better traffic laws. We need to create a more efficient transportation system in Ghana. Personally, I mean, in the last 2 years or so, I think Seven even knows this. I love cars. I've actually evolved to hate driving. I prefer being driven, because I lose time on the road, and so I can do stuff at the back of the car. You understand? It's a bit ridiculous sometimes. A lot of things can be better, especially if you want to travel to certain places by road. I love the fact that he mentioned the Ghana Tourism Authority structure that needs a critical look at. And I'm going to say something that might be quite controversial. I think we need a separation of the tourism ministry from creative arts and industry.
This is a big topic.
Yes, because Charlie, any small coins will come and they'll always announce we want a guy, then wearing shirt, starch up, then announce some money come, but we all know where it doesn't. It never comes to the creative sector. You understand? It always goes to tourism. Meanwhile, the forts and castles they crumble.
Does it really go to tourism?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Like where?
Where artists, where you collect block things.
Mostly the hotels. They claim the hotels.
Yeah.
That's what they claim.
I know the hotel people have also been complaining, really.
Yeah,
And
so...
I guess
So that's why I asked, where does it really go?
I don't know if I can actually now just sort of wrap everything up.
Yes.
I can. Can I start that?
Yes.
I had to take a couple of notes
Can
down.
you do that in 1 minute for me?
I'll try.
So that you
I'll
reserve
try.
the other points for next week, please.
Okay. Just off the bat, I mean, speaking on film, music, comedy, all of that, a few things have stuck out. I mean, obviously, we need regulatory frameworks and legal protection.
Yeah.
We need funding and investment. Note that came second after the restructuring and stuff and legal framework. Because let's be honest, if Charlie, you're trying to let somebody who's a money man put money where structure no day, you're being unfair to that person.
Absolutely.
Because they have
It's
really
important,
they really do not have any guarantees of getting their returns back, right? We need to have a critical look at education and training. We need to have a critical look at infrastructure and technology, which includes internet. In the cost of internet in Ghana is ridiculous. We can't
High.
normalize these conversations if we are not talking about
very
these
high.
things. Yes, extremely high, exorbitantly high. We need to talk about cultural promotion and identity.
Okay.
We need to talk about market access and export opportunities. We need to talk about collaborations and networking. We need to talk about community engagement and inclusion. We need to talk about sustainability and social responsibility. We need to talk about data collection and analysis.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we are
Wonderful.
not making certain judgments and taking action just based off sentiments. You know what I
Correct.
mean? We need to address certain things with data in mind. Kwame, you and I speak quite often, and you know how deeply passionate I am about a well-crafted and implemented social policy on culture.
Exactly.
Because I think that is literally the foundation of everything we've discussed, because it can literally just guide, the direction of what all these cultural expressions and even how we market our country, is carried out,
Okay.
So I think we need to really redefine our cultural identity and values. Look at the number of people that came to Ghana.
But you are saying everything today.
Oh no, trust me. With everything I've said, I can speak 5 minutes.
I beg, my producer will beat me.
Okay.
We need to go take commercials.
Right.
So let me take Ken. So we can. You are coming back next week, so don't worry.
Okay.
Ken.
I think I can just decide to cede my time to him. But I think what stands out from the presentation by my brother is how we preserve our forts and castles. Over time we'll lose them. And the experience that I got 10 years ago compared to the experience I got last year are very different. It's not because I'm growing, it's because we're losing certain elements of what really happened there. And I think that we need to also think creatively of how to make people have an experience of what they are being told, rather than go and hear somebody's narration of what happened there. If you experience it, it hits differently, and that is key. And I think that's when we have if we have the dichotomy for the tourism and creative arts department, then we will build a relationship and know how to marry ourselves at that level.
Wonderful.
Because right now we are married, but it looks like there's a divorce when it comes to.
You've not consummated yet, so it's no marriage. Thank you very much, Ken Fiati, Joy 99.7 FM. Now, let me read these texts that I've had now. This one says, Kwame, good evening. Just a few reactions to the discussion. This is from Divine from the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture. Says, the marine is ongoing and you can visit the sites to verify. You'll be amazed with the year of return, with what the year of return has contributed to the economy of the country, the funds, of course, to the private sector, the visas. There is going to be a major announcement on electronic visa very soon for travelers for the country. Honorable Japa Mesa is doing great, although he's yet to be sworn in as substantive minister. As we speak, he's working aggressively on the culture policy. From Divine from the Ministry of Tourism. Francis Nuteko is also talking about the taxes on tickets and all that. Thanks so much. It's been great coming your way with Showbiz A to Z. A big thank you to you, Ken Fiati, Francis Doku, BeatMenace, Kofi Boachie, Ansah, Seven Xavier, James Aboagye, and then to you, Petsy Obrimpon. Show produced by Philip Nye, Anita Tay. We had Olivier Fun on social media. Uncle Ken also joined us. We are back same time next week, 2 to 6 p.m. My name is Kwame Dadzie, and this show was brought to you by MTN Everywhere You Go and the Superstar Multi-Drink. Thank you very much for listening. We are gone.